syrup. Hey, it's the maple syrup show, and I'm here all alone for a little while. So I'm gonna put the ukulele down. I'm also gonna look at my printer over there. Just started out printing things at random, sort of. I mean, I meant it to print, but I meant it to print a little while ago, and it's printing now. So that's kind of spooky. And what's going to happen tonight is we have a little bit of a delay because our guest, Hirsch Gluck from Hero Time, is doing something at his house regarding stuff. And he's just going to be a little bit late. So until that time, I'll just entertain you by talking and telling you about what I did last week. So last week, I was, well, not last week, but on the weekend, I was at the Gathering of Friends, which is a very small gathering of friends, as per the name, where people who are in the game industry, but also just people who aren't in the game industry, just like games, are invited to come play games for a 10-day convention. I only went for the weekend, and it was lovely. I got to play a lot of games that I have never played before, which was super great. Because sometimes you really need to um, just play some games. When you're so busy making them, it's really important that you, I think, take some time to get some games on the table, play them, figure out what's going on. So I'll tell you the games I played, and we can maybe talk about them until Hirsch gets here. So I played Architects of the, what is it? What's actually, so Architects of the Western, I don't know. What does he call it? Architects? I played a couple games with Architects. The West Kingdom, that's it, in the collector's box. So I only played the base game, Shem Phillips's Architects of the West Kingdom. It's a very good worker placement game. I enjoyed it. I think it definitely is reminiscent of Belfort in a lot of ways, so I liked it. There's some things that I wasn't too sure if we were doing it right, not just because I won, because I often doubt I did things right when I win, but because I won in a way that was not necessarily the most satisfying, but maybe the players were not playing. The other players were not playing great. There is a really neat idea about virtue, and I kind of liked it, kind of didn't like it, in the way that if you are, say, unvirtuous and you like steal from the tax collector, you then lose points, but you're able to save on paying out. You don't have to pay out as much. You don't have to pay the tax anymore because you're like skirting taxes and avoiding them. Whereas if you're very virtuous, you get a lot of points, but you're always paying full price for everything. You can't go to the black market. And I think that's an interesting idea. From a design perspective, my design ethos is generally don't make players do bad things. Of course, I make games about war, and I make games about heists, and I make games about all sorts of things. But I, just very blatantly calling out its virtue was interesting to me. In that sometimes I don't believe that's really virtue or not virtue, right? Being a Kohlbergian moralist, I think about morality as a relative thing. Anyway, that's beyond all of that. Michael Rotopoulos is asking for more songs. Maybe we'll see where Hirsch gets here. Maybe we'll sing another song. So I played that with Alara and Jay and Josh from Game Right. Oh, not from Game Right. Chris from Game Right and Josh from Think Fun. Oh, but you know what? Hirsch is here. Hirsch is getting ready to come on air, and I'll tell you about all those games later. We're gonna get Hirsch here in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, Hirsch Gluck. How are you doing, sir?
Hi, I'm doing great.
It's good to see
Oh,
you.
yeah.
So you're not very late. In fact, people are waiting for you, so that's good. Before we get started, how are you? You okay? Everything's all right?
Yeah, we just got quarantined this week.
Okay.
The whole city of Ningbo got closed down. Um, everything is just in crazy mess all over.
Oh, okay.
So they decided to keep everyone at home and do like 3 tests per person. So they come to your place and they just give you some tests. Uh,
Okay.
yeah.
And they'll tell you the results later, I hope.
Yeah, it all goes digitally. So, like, because we also have the green code that we need to show to everyone.
Hmm.
Everywhere
Hmm.
you go, you got to show your green code, like your
Okay.
green passport, so to speak.
Right,
And
right, right.
So yeah, it just updates onto your green code saying, oh, you did a test. So you have a green code and you did a test. So you're all good to go.
Oh,
Um,
okay, I get it. That's cool. And it's really interesting that some people are so very against that type of idea. Like the big brother's watching you. It's like, well, I carry around this phone in my pocket that I'm sure they could track me anyway if they really wanted to.
yeah.
And anytime I enter into for a prize at some place by giving my phone number, again, people are tracking me all over the place. But I guess for things that I want or they opt into.
Mm.
But besides all of that, let's talk about hero time because that's what you're here for. And I hope that's what a bunch of the viewers are here for as well. Hero time just came on my radar, I think last year, or maybe even the year before, when a lot of um, your employees, I guess, were very active in some of the design forums, giving great advice and great help to new designers and young publishers and saying, okay, we can help you with that. We can review that. Can you tell me what is the origin of Hero Time? Where did it all start and why did you start doing this?
Well, first of all, it's an amazing question. So thank you very much for asking it. And I come from a family of like board game designers and lovers. So
Mm-hmm.
my brother designed his own board game, and he needed production. I was living in China already at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He was asking me, Hirsch, can you help me? Can you help me out with producing the board game? Right. And beforehand, I've done like suitcases, clothing, whatever other products I've done before. And then I'm entering this new world of board games, and I think, oh, it's going to be super easy, super simple. Like with any other product, I give the specifications to the factory, whatever, and they manufacture it. With board games, oh, it was so there was so much information that was hidden from my eyes, from my brother's eyes, from the creator's eyes, basically, and so much more that you need to do, a lot more than a regular product. So I felt like this industry is not transparent enough. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
help the customer, so to speak, the creator enough. It works in an extremely old fashioned way. And so I thought, wow, there's so much for me that I can come and innovate in the industry and help. Because again, my brother, he knew how to create his board game. For my brother to start now figuring out production, figuring out logistics, supply chains, what products are the best, what this is, what raw materials are. It's too much. You can't expect a creator to handle that as well, and that's where Hero Time came into the picture. Um, Kind of as a line is we do everything that the creator doesn't need to do. If there's
Right.
anything specific that the creator shouldn't focus on, there's no reason for him to focus on, or he as an individual cannot, can on these issues. That's where Hero Time comes into the picture, because
Okay.
it's so extensive. I can go into detail with everything, but it's really crazy.
Oh, and we will because I'm sure there's questions from the audience eventually. But let me ask you this. So does Hero Time are you more like a broker or are you actually running the manufacturing at the factory? Where did it start and where is it now?
Yeah, so it started with me working basically with a factory.
Okay.
So the first few orders, because I still needed to learn my way around the market, right? So my brother gives me 2, 3 orders. I had a few other friends that also gave me a few orders. So in those orders, I used the factory, and then I came and I went to like dozens of factories in China until I found the
Yeah.
ultimate factory to work with. Um, and then I realized that even with this ultimate factory, I don't have full control over the production line.
Right.
I don't have full control over raw materials they choose, over speed. They just say, "Oh, okay, you brought us an order. Thank you very much. We'll contact you when it's done." And
Right.
for me, it's like, no, I want to know that every step of the production is correct because I don't want to find a mistake in the end of the production. Um,
Right.
so then I had another friend who worked in printing. He was a printing engineer, and we decided, that to work together. So we opened
Yeah.
our own spot in Wenzhou.
Yep.
We have like 300 feet, 300 square meters. Um, Next year, I think we'll reach 1,000. But we have over there like a bunch of the machines that we need. And the power of Wenzhou is that I don't know if industrial zone. It's a whole industrial.
Yeah, it's a special it's a yeah.
It's a printing industrial zone. So
Yeah.
there are over 2,000 different businesses where each business specializes in something else. So basically, I have access, even so I'm not yet at the level where, I have 1,000 square meter factory, but I still have access to all the machinery available in the market,
Right.
the top machinery. So like, I don't know if printing machines, for example, which is very difficult. If I have a simple project, I can use a small little printing machine, 4 colors. If I have a very complex product, I can use, like the 8 color machine, Heidelberg, big Dwaykai, it's called, like open two with UV coating. I have the range of all the machinery I need. Right.
Yeah, within like a square mile of you, right? There's like everything's
Even
there.
yeah, even
Even closer, probably.
yeah, just
So
a
you're
road. So
yeah, you're talking about a special economic zone, right? Where printing is the thing that happens there. So if anybody doesn't understand SEZs, whatever you want to call them, whether you speak
uh,
English or American, I guess, I don't know. There's great podcast about that on 99% Invisible a couple weeks ago that just focused on how SEZs started and where they are today. There's a book called Instant City, which is all about Shenzhen and how it just like popped up kind of overnight. And then there's also stories about these little villages that are inside these giant economically super powered cities. And then there's little very parochial areas that are managed by themselves. It's
what
a
is it called?
fascinating thing. Yeah.
What is that book called? Yeah, I'm
I think
confused.
it's you're gonna get it. I think it's called Instant City. It's sitting on my book table. It's I have a I'm a professor, so I have a table of books that I accumulate during my teaching time, and then next week is the end of term, and I start reading those books. So that's on my table. Yeah, and it's a fascinating thing because it really actually changed the whole outlook of China, basically,
Yeah,
because China was the country that really took these special economic zones and basically changed the face of their
actually,
country with it.
yeah. There's a when I did my master's degree, about this topic specifically. When I did
Yeah,
my
yeah,
master's degree, we had the concept obviously of open innovation for software, right? So basically, where or open source software. Um, in China, I felt, and I felt that, but I couldn't put my finger on it, right? And then I read like this Chinese paper, which are very difficult to read, by the way, even in English.
yep,
And they spoke about like open hardware, innovation kind of thing, where they took these economic zones. What'd you call them in the professional language? SZ.
SEZs. They're special economic zones. That's
Yeah.
what they're called. Yeah.
Where everyone shares what they can do,
Hmm.
to have the best possible outcome in the end of the day. And the wrath of opening and starting a business is a lot lower than, you don't need any more $10 million investment in order to open a factory. You can
Hmm.
start with a few essential machinery that belong to your industry. For example, for me, it will be like cutting, it will be gluing, and then it will be card collating. So
Right.
these 3 essential machines that we have to use for every order. You can start with those machines and slowly grow as you get more and
Right.
more
Right.
customers.
So at the beginning, you maybe were sourcing, say, wood pieces from again just around the corner, probably, and you were saying, "Oh, we can't do miniatures yet. We can't spin cast," and then you were just doing the card collation, board printing, and then eventually, next year, it's like, "Oh, now we've got the ability to do dual press." Cardboard, better die cutting, and now next year after that, we're going to add the spin casting for miniatures, right?
Yeah,
So I think this is like a super interesting story because people don't understand that this can happen really quickly, but it also doesn't just happen overnight, and that there's a lot of outsourcing within these zones, which really So a lot of people over the pandemic were saying, "How come we can't just do this in America, or how come we can't do this in Canada?" It's because we,
I saw those posts. Yeah.
yeah, we don't have this kind of economic zone where that's all that happens there, right? So in an economic zone, you can literally go put in an order for 10,000 wooden pieces that are exactly this dimension, and you can expect them within 3 days. They'll get them to you. And you could have it faster if you stop the line and pay for it all, right? Because money speaks. So it's this thing that just doesn't exist anywhere else. Um, and it's fascinating because that's why China is as efficient as it is. And the way they built the special economic zones is such that the factories are really close to the ports, and then the ports are really close to the water, of course, and the water is the connection to the rest of the world. So yeah, we just got outdone by the Chinese deciding to change everything to be this way. And all the special economic zones, what they're basically set up to do is reduce tax to the users, and the people who have factories there and the people who live there and work there and all that kind of stuff. The only problem is there's regulation issues in terms of like human rights and stuff like that that can get overlooked because of how productive the zone is. If you're getting a really productive zone that's making a lot of money, where's the cost? And the cost is unfortunately usually human. So that's the area that there originally were problems with that. As we get more into present time, that has been definitely not as big of an issue because it's been talked about and done. Things have been done about that. Is it super transparent? No, but
I've never seen I've never seen any child work. If I know it's a topic that people talk about.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happens all over China, right?
Right. And I don't think that
really
I don't
want to say anything.
Yeah, and I don't think it happens. Oh, where did Hirsch go? Oh no. I don't think it happens, to the extent that it probably did before. So hopefully Hirsch will come back and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But yeah, the idea of working in China isn't as negative as a lot of people might think it is and might have thought about it before. So Hirsch is back. So we got two Hirsches. Let's bring one Hirsch in. There we go. There we go. He's coming in 3, 2, 1. There he is back again. So yeah, just to kind of put that piece to bed. The claims of worker abuse and child labor and things like that hasn't really been a thing in recent years.
I don't know recent. I've been in China for 7 years and I've never ever I've been to hundreds
of factories, right? Yeah.
Hundreds of industrial zones. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
Like the most I've seen was like 16, 17-year-old teenage kids who come to work in the summer, after. That's common practice like everywhere.
Yeah. And it's an interesting thing. So a lot of other, people are like, we pay more for workers in America or Canada. And people are saying, well, if we're using workers in China, how come they get so little?
No, they get a lot of money.
They actually get a lot relative to other people in China, right?
I pay my workers, for example, depending. So the printing engineer gets 15,000 RMB.
Yeah.
Which is, the operator of the printing machine, he gets 15,000 RMB, which is like, I don't know, $2,500 which is a ton of money in China. Okay,
right,
so
that's the thing.
My living, so I live off around $900 a month. That's what I need to live off. And I just have my wife, so it's the two of us. But so how much money I'm getting from the business, I barely take anything, just because I take what I need. But the regular worker in the floor, like the assembly worker, he gets between 3,000 and 4,000 RMB a month, depending on how many hours, if there were extra hours or not. But let's say the minimum he will get is 3,000 RMB, which comes out to be around, I'd say, $500, $600. And for those
Hmm.
workers, they live on around 1,000 RMB, so they live off $150 of of daily usage. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh, people don't realize it. They say, why does it get paid so little? But for them, they actually get paid a lot because the currency is not inflated, because the government controls prices. Like, I went to the
Yeah.
supermarket yesterday. I got, like food for a whole week, frozen goods, fruit, vegetables, everything you need. And it cost me 213 RMB,
Yeah, which is like zip. It's
which is
almost no
$30.
American dollars,
Yeah, and my
right?
sister did the same. We compared, and my sister did the same shopping list. She's in Ohio, and for her, it came out like 100 and something dollars.
Yeah, it'd
Um,
probably be about $120 per week for a family, right? So
yeah,
it
um,
is not the comparison in wages and all those things are very it's very difficult to do, which is why it makes it very difficult to start up a factory in the Americas. So now you have a factory
correct.
in China that you are 100% controlling, very different from when you were a broker. And so, what can you do now that you couldn't do before? What does that level of control allow you to do?
So much.
Right.
Can I like list? Like,
Yes, I
I'll
want the
I'll
list.
just give you some stuff, and you can and you just like dig deeper into it if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
if.
yeah.
So, for example, the first thing which was most important for me is standardization, the way we work.
Hmm.
Um, there are two ways to approach production. One is you customize, because every board game is different size, so you want to customize everything, per to maximize the cost for the game, or to lower as much as possible the cost for the game. I said, you know what, I don't want to work. So when you customize, you have humongous, like 100-meter rolls of paper that you cut it to fit the exact size. I don't want to do that. What I did was, I work from let's give me the standard paper, and then I'll build everything according to the standard paper. That's why some games, some people come to me, say, "Oh, can you please help me with production?" I say, sorry, if your quantity is under like 2 or 3,000, I use standard paper, and your sizes are not. I mean, they waste a lot of paper, so you're
Sure.
better off work with a factory that will customize the order exactly. Um, Again, there's always so I can control the prices in that sense as well, which is amazing. If you were just a broker, the factory gives you the price and that's it. For me,
Yeah.
now I'm standardizing all my materials. If I want to do an order of 500 sets, I can do an order of 500 sets and nobody will stop me. 1,000 sets, 2,000 sets, I can also say what price I want. I want a lower price. Let me get cheaper materials. If some customers say, listen, my budget, I got funded on Kickstarter only $6,000, and I want to get 1,500 games. This is a price I can handle. I cannot handle more than that. So obviously, you need to adjust the
Right.
quality.
So you can work with that better than a factory that is not as flexible, or when you were a broker and you just had to kind of take the prices that you were given, right?
Exactly. Then also the QC process. The QC process is a person, like every stage of the production. There's a QC process just to make sure that it all looks good. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, it comes into the flow of the factory. Literally, I can control the outcome.
That's
Um,
really interesting, because I know that there's definitely been QC issues before. Like, I know there's been quality control issues, especially with drying of the product at the end, and then you end up with a moldy package that's been on a boat for a long time, and then the product is like non-viable. Have you been able, through your QC, your quality control, to cut down on losses in the end for the publisher? Do you think? Do you have numbers on that?
I don't have exact numbers. I don't know how to count those numbers, but let me give you an idea. There was a new game by Goliath Games
Sure.
on Amazon. I forgot the name, but if you see the reviews, I mean, you would expect from a massive company like Goliath to be able to ensure a
The
top
quality, yeah.
top of the line product quality wise, and they didn't manage to. Um, So that's an example of a big massive. And then if you look at like Power Switch, what I've made, which is more or less the same level of game as that game by Goliath.
In
I
terms of parts and pieces and
Yeah.
stuff? Yeah.
You will see the reviews out of like 150 reviews on Amazon. There wasn't even one bad review on quality. So
Right.
I can't put a number on how much that's worth, right? Obviously,
Right.
each customer, each publisher is different. But it's
Mhm.
not to say that for me there's no issues. There are no issues ever, right?
But at least you're trying.
At least, first of all, at least I'm trying. Second,
Yeah.
I don't run away. So if there's an issue, like for example, I'm working on a game right now called UFO Wave,
Mhm.
and the colors that he used in the artwork is extremely heavy, and we have a limitation of what we can do with printing to match
Sure.
specific colors and making sure that they don't have any chromatic abbreviation. So all the colors are exactly the same, and so we did the first print run. I even did all the fulfillment for him, right? And then
Mhm.
suddenly he says, "Listen, Hirsch, the difference in color is too great. Customers think that it's two separate decks." So then I'm like, "Oh, what am I gonna do? Okay, let me go again and try to reprint those cards to replace them for."
Right.
Which is something that I don't know if a lot of factories do,
I
but
doubt it.
as me trying to at least reach that level of quality that satisfies everyone, um,
Mhm.
yeah, I try my best to do that. And actually, I also wrote the terms and conditions on my website. So if you scroll all the way down to the footer of the website, you can see terms and conditions. And over there, I wrote all the issues that can pop up in production and stuff that I cannot control. For example, up to 1% or up to like 50 games. And then there's also a policy of what happens if there is this issue. So you want to
Mhm.
replace the component. Why was it? Why was this component bad? Where's the responsibility of the manufacturer ends, and where's the responsibility? Because this
But at
is
least it's clear, right?
yeah, it just makes it very very clear for customers to know. Okay, this is what I'm capable of doing.
Mhm.
Just so you know,
Right.
because they're not.
How far will you go to make the customer happy? I think is a really good line to draw in the sand, really, because it helps with customer confidence as a publisher. If I was going to go with you, and I know that this is the line, that's the line. Whereas a lot of publishers aren't as transparent. Oh, sorry, manufacturers, like you said, just aren't transparent with that, and you don't know, and so you might not ask, or you will ask and get very disappointed. And I think having that kind of information up front in the terms of agreements and sales, that's super important, especially for small businesses that, you know, any mistake could be the end of their company, right? So
Yeah.
having that in writing is very, very valuable. That's appreciated, I would hope, by your customers,
I
right?
mean, you can go over them. I mean, I even have pictures and showing examples of issues. Um,
Hmm.
I have, especially printing. Printing is the most difficult. People forget about printing. Offset printing is
Yep.
it's a manual process of printing. You control the ink flowing out of the machine. You press on a button and you add a little more C. So everything is extremely manual. And people think, oh, it came out well on my computer, so it should come out well in offset printing, and it just doesn't work that way.
No, it literally does not.
Yeah.
They're
So
also probably sending you RGB files because they're
they
silly.
send me RGBs. Don't even let me go into this, but printing it's been such a such an issue for me. I commissioned a video by Ink and Film Studio. I've taught him, I've explained to him all the necessary points for printing, and we made 22 videos
Wow.
with all the issues that I found in my years of experience that creators gave me, from the file type to the color choice to
Right.
they want, like, here's a simple issue, right? Blue, or forget it, any color, right? So they have background color red on this card, background color red on that card. It's supposed to be the same, but their colors isn't. It looks on the computer the
Right.
same, but if you go to the numbers on CMYK, it's not even the same color. So who is to
Right.
blame in this? Like, am I responsible now for the color discrepancy between these two cards? This is stuff creators saying, yeah, you should tell me. Um, but anyways, I created these 22 videos just to make sure.
Oh, good.
Yeah, use swatches.
Yeah,
choose a
I'm
seller.
gonna go watch these 22 videos, let me tell you.
Yeah. And it's even the I don't want to say I dumbed it down because I did not. Creators, this is their first project. They've never done any
Mhm.
artwork before, any printing before. How can you expect a small creator or even a big publisher? How can you expect them to know all the nuanced points of what is the capabilities of printing? There's no way in the world they can, no matter how much they learn. So that video series really compiles everything in one place. Yeah.
And is that on herotime1.com? Is that where people can
No, it's on
find that?
YouTube actually. The video
Oh,
series.
okay.
So if you go onto the channel on YouTube, should I send the link here?
Yeah. If you can send a link or I can find it. It's the youtube.com and Herotime Manufacturing. Because people are asking, I need this right now. They're saying, please give me this thing.
Oh,
Um, there we go. So you have a whole bunch of, you have a YouTube channel here,
it's
and
playlists. You go into playlists and how to set up
yeah,
my artwork for print.
great. Yes. Oh, I see them. I see them. This is great. How to set up artwork for print. So the link is right here, and I'll type that in the
See, I
chat.
don't have access to the chat here, so I'm just gonna let you post it.
Yeah. So I just posted it to the thing, and I will actually add it to the feed right here. Boom. It's going to be a little bit messy, people. Sorry, but that's what it looks like. Oh my gosh, it's real long. But go to
I'm
just look for Hero Time. And the logo is a really cool H, red on the top, black on the bottom, white in the middle. And you'll go to playlists, and under playlists, you will find the Art for Board Games playlist, I think. And there is a really good set of videos that Ink and Film did, Chris Whitpan did with for Hirsch, and they're great. I haven't watched them yet, but they look good, is what I'm saying. They look very professional, and we'll see what they all have to say later. So there you go, Amy. Was looking for those. Amy actually asked you another question of you. So you said, and I heard the words fulfillment come out of your mouth when we were talking just a little while ago. So do you do fulfillment still? And if so, why? What's added? What's the value add for the manufacturer to do fulfillment?
um so okay, we have two separate things: shipping and fulfillment.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Fulfillment, I really don't like doing. Okay. Honestly, it's one thing that I don't want to do, but it's one thing that the industry and creators really need me to do. Like I
Okay.
was saying, the mission behind the Hero Time is to do everything that the creator cannot do himself. And fulfillment is one of those things that there's no way in the world a creator can do good fulfillment. So you have a project in the US, right? Now you have 5 people from Europe and another 10 people from Australia that bought your game. What you gonna do? What, I'm gonna send all the games to the US and you're gonna send from there? It will cost you a lot of money. So in that case, yeah, I come into the picture. Give me the addresses. I'll send them directly from China. Again, this is very good for small games. Bigger games, because small games up to 2 kilos, I can sell. I can send by China Post. More than that, or DDP to EU and UK, which is pretty good. More than 2 kilos, I need to start working with a fulfillment center in Europe, in the UK, in Australia, just to make sure the costs are a bit lower. So if your game is light, I would be able to do fulfillment. Now I don't want to take care of all the fulfillment worldwide, right? So like I don't want to fulfill now 700 orders. I mean, I can theoretically, I can, but do I want to? No. It's a lot of work, but I will take care of all those spots where the creator cannot handle themselves. Like I was saying, a few odd orders in EU. There's not, I have an account in the EU, so I can import merchandise to the EU, including all duty and VAT. The creator cannot.
Right.
You cannot expect them to. Okay, you know what? I'll import goods into the UK, or into the EU. I can do that for him. So fulfillment, even for large board games, I can help a lot by. This is the fulfillment center I use. or you can choose any fulfillment center you want in EU, in UK, and I will send the goods to them, including all the duty and all the VAT and everything that it includes and entails. Um, and I think that helps so much in regards
Hmm.
to fulfillment. Yeah, you can use either the fulfillment centers that I like using or and working with, or you can choose your own fulfillment centers. It's up to you at the end of the day. Shipping is where my real strong suit is.
Okay.
Yeah, and fulfillment wise, also actually, prices in the end of the day come out quite cheap. But yeah, yeah, shipping. The reason why I do shipping is for the same exact reason as I said, just because shipping is also one of those things that small creators cannot handle. I export 2-3 containers a month. Um,
Right. So you can
my
gang
prices,
ship them all.
yeah, and my prices are obviously will be half the price. I don't know half, but way lower than the prices you can get. And I also in the US, for example, I have my own import company account. So basically, I'm the one doing and clearing customs in the US, which is something that so other factories, for example, will offer shipping to the port, with the CIF,
Right.
basically,
But not to the destination, just to the
not to the
port.
destination. So I
And so yeah.
took the extra step. I said, I called the customs clearance. I opened an account over there. I said I want to
Mhm.
start clearing goods. Then I found a trucking company and a import agent, just to clear all the
Mhm.
customs. And why not? Let me handle shipping all the way to the door to help the creator rather than he needs to deal with it. And sometimes I even lose money over it because there are changes. Like
Right,
all.
yeah, of course. Day to day, there's changes in shipping.
Yeah,
It's the most volatile part of any game is the shipping cost.
yeah.
But that's a really big service to add, because the logistics, the supply chain, all that kind of stuff is the area that I don't think creators, even first time publishers and even second, third time publishers really don't get. It is such a logistical nightmare to get things across borders into economic zones that you don't have
It's not. It's not only.
you don't have the right to sell in that zone, right? So having somebody like you who has the all the paperwork already done, all the brokerage and agency already done at the destination point, that's a really big deal.
Yeah,
Um,
and I have to add also, like
mhm.
Pablo, the guy the hero, the creator assistant who works
Yeah, yeah,
for me.
yeah.
He just sent me a message, and he was asking because he's always like hearing all the questions that people have, and he's like, Hirsch, how can we solve this problem? How
Right.
do we solve this problem? And then I'm like, oh yeah, our solution is A, B, and C, and he's like, yeah, he's like he really likes, that's why he works with me, because he really likes the fact that we try to find these solutions. But he sent me a message the other day. Skybound, a company called Skybound. I don't
Yeah,
necessarily
yeah.
know them, but they got.
I yep, they got what?
He says in the he said he showed me a post on Facebook where Skybound did not manage to clear the customs in the EU, and then they had to return all the games back to China to the sender.
Right.
So people will not be able to get their games.
Yeah, not yet then, right? Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So, and from what I understand, Skybound is a big company, at least according to the complaints. Um,
Well, yeah, Skybound is definitely on the upper end of things, um, because of their ties to lots of other parts of transmedia. So Skybound is part of Image Comics, and so they are, not the biggest publisher, but they're also not a mom and pop, one person show, and things like that, where you can't negotiate or navigate, the esoteric laws of another country's, import and export codes. That can be like you said, like a death knell for some small companies. They'll get past that, of course, but this is just going to cause a lot of bad blood between their backers and them, because it was a mistake that maybe didn't have to happen, right?
um, so the issue, from what I understood it, from what Pablo told me, was the CE. They didn't manage to get a CE for their games. And then it got to the
Oh,
port in the in EU, and the customs over there said, where's your CE certificate? Um,
right.
and once they after 30 days they couldn't produce it for some weird reasons that is really beyond me. Like I know the regulations of CE and ASTM for the US as well as AUNZ and whatever. Like I know the requirements. So it just shows you that even a massive company doesn't necessarily know all the nuanced and all the detailed information that everything that goes into this. And I'm not saying they're bad. God forbid. Everyone
No.
tries to do their best.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is this is so there's such a massive lack of transparency in the whole process of producing
Right.
as well as logistics. Even large companies get stuck with it.
Yeah, they're gonna get shafted here and there. They forget to dot an I, pay somebody the proper fee, fill out the right form, and it's not even negligence. It's like nobody ever told me this is needed, right? Sometimes it's
Nobody
just
told you until it arrived to the port.
yeah,
Exactly.
it's so obfuscated that it's like nobody knows that. Why is that a thing? But it's somewhere in some book somewhere. And the other thing that's weird about it is, sometimes like they might have done it before and they never needed it before, but now they need it because of some new law in a different country, or the last customs agents just didn't do it. Right? There's things like that.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
sometimes custom clearance. They do manual checks, so they have
Yeah.
extra checks for products. So if your container for some reason got handled
Flagged.
to
Yeah.
CBP in the US, and this happened to me, by the way. It happened to me
Yeah.
just right now. I was shipping an amazing game. Let's Get Real, bro. Awesome creator, beyond like he started as he's a one guy. Him and his wife, they do it. I mean, wow, they took me by storm. First of all, I love them. I love their games. Their game seems to get a lot of traction. They sold out. We sent more. Everyone is under pressure to get the merchandise. The customs clearance in Seattle holds the container. Says, sorry guys, we got a notice on this container. We're holding it for tests. So they do X-ray tests.
Right.
They do that test. They do, and sometimes customs decides for no reason to look at the merchandise and say, oh, 1 second, this has wood components with ink, but it doesn't have a CE certificate. Does it pass the reach? It doesn't. Okay, sorry, we're not going to accept this. I mean, out of the blue, they can choose whatever they want. And
it is kind of arbitrary sometimes, right? So it's interesting. Amy's asking, do you need a CE on games that are for ages 14 and up?
No.
No.
Do not need. Yeah.
Okay.
You can always put it. The idea of CE is just you as a publisher telling everyone that your game passes the regulations in Europe.
Right.
So you affixing the CE mark, basically, you don't necessarily need a CE certificate to do it, but you need to make sure that everything passes all the regulations. And having your game for 14 plus does mean your game passed the regulation. So you can put it if you want to, but you don't have to also, because
right. So it's really that, and that's why, as a lot of people already kind of have figured out, why a lot of games will say 14 plus or 15 plus, and really they could be played by younger kids.
but they should be very careful about that,
Yes.
especially for young kids, because in New Zealand last year, one of the companies that does toys for games got fined 70,000 New Zealand dollars.
Wow.
And that is because they did not want to do tests for 3 and under. So they were saying, oh, our games is 4 plus.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to avoid the extra cost of testing for under 3. And the government came in. They said, listen, like an incident happened where a baby actually choked from one of the pieces, and the government looked at the product, said, 1 second, this product you said 4 plus, but in reality it's suitable for like a year-old.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So if you have a game that is for 14 plus that could be played by like 12-year-olds because of the text on it and the content and maturity of the game, that's very different than a family game that could legitimately be played by a 4-year-old. Like if it's about, unicorns and ice cream, a 3-year-old might want to play with that, right? So you do have to be careful that the thematics and the artwork on the game don't imply that it's a child's game.
Exactly.
That it's a fine line that you walk when you're doing that kind of stuff. Now, if it's about like vampires and war and blood, the
do whatever you
14
want.
and plus is fine. Cool. So, wow, we've talked a long time. This is pretty good. what else is there to tell us about Hero Time? What is another differentiator? Why should people pick Hero Time over, I don't know, Ludofact or some other publisher, or some other manufacturer somewhere like Panda or whoever? Why Hero Time?
Um, I think anyone who deals with Hero Time will testify that the service, I think, was exceptional. And I mean there are a lot more, but yeah, I'll just list a few. First of all, fast response times is as fast as possible. Um, 24 hours, 48 hours, I think maximum will be the response time for if you have a question, if you want to change anything. It's not like if, for example, Panda. You
Mhm.
work with Panda, they give you a quote, then you say, "Oh, guys, what about if I change this component to that one? What if I change the size from 22 to 21?" Um, you need to wait 3 weeks to get a response, or 2 weeks, or whatever. For us,
Yeah, perhaps it was gonna be a lot longer, right?
yeah, for us, just get on a video call, and either me or Pablo will just walk you through all the components. We'll tell you exactly what sizes are ideal for your game. What is the limitations of what you want to do. If you have any questions, you send an email and you get a response. Just everything flows a lot better. That's a
Right.
first. That's the first thing. Um, in addition to this point, I also actually opened on the website. I have a quotation system. If you go to components and pricing, you can see all the possible components, all the variables,
Nice.
and simply see the prices. So if you're still designing a game and you're not sure which components to use, you simply go in there, say, "One second, what if I use this component, how much money it will cost? If I use that component, how much money that will cost?" Everything is
Right.
everything is at the reach of your hand. So it just everything to make the life of the creator easier. That's
Right. So it seems much more like almost like
the
a
game
print on demand without being a print on demand.
exactly for mass production.
Yeah,
Demand
which
for
is
mass.
really powerful when you think about it, because a lot of that stuff is obfuscated uh, by other manufacturers because they just don't want to tell you, or they don't. It's not that they
No,
maybe
they
they just
don't
don't think
know.
they should. They don't know. They don't know right away because they're
It
sourcing a
works
lot of
differently.
parts or whatever. Right.
It works differently. So
Hmm.
manufacturers, and that's why they don't like to do small quantities, because they customize everything to the game
Right.
rather than like because I come from a creator background. I'm like, let me work the other way around. I'll tell you what is the best to do production wise, and you follow those directions. If you don't, choose a different manufacturer. It's your
Yeah.
choice. But I just decided to for small, because I mean I'm catering to the small creators, 500,
Right.
1,000 sets, 2,000 sets, 3,000 sets. Not
Hmm.
too many sets, and like I work with a lot of also bigger companies, but these small creators who are my people, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, um, my goal was to help them. So
Yeah. We're not
it
talking
came
like
from the
fifty
other
thousand
direction.
units.
Yeah,
Right. We're talking like a couple thousand units using fairly standardized pieces or parts to start with, as opposed to highly customized parts. And I think that for people who can do that for their games, this sounds wonderful. Like to be able to get such responsive, service, to be able to come out up front and go, okay, what if I change this to a different core for my cards, or even from say standard poker size to, oh, I want, the art's great, so let's make a tarot size cards. Immediately you have those prices and those price differentials within probably a degree of error, right, available to you, which is very different than getting a quote from another manufacturer. So um I guess that's a good question. So if somebody priced out everything on your system and they got kind of a quote from your system, does that stand? That's the quote? That's the price?
yeah, 100%. Uh,
Really?
yeah, like
Wow.
that's I use the same system to
Oh
quote
yeah, for you to make it, right?
to make the quote. Well, it wasn't always like this. Obviously, it took me around a year and a half to manage to standardize everything, to build the cutting molds for everything, just to figure out what is the best sizes I want, what is the best printing machines I want to use for creators, because there's so many choices. For
Yeah,
example, Kimori machine has a different size than the Heidelberg, so I always need to
right.
ask myself, okay, Do I use a Kimori or do I use a Heidelberg? Okay, I want to use Heidelberg for all my machines, just because I can sleep safer if I know I'm using
Yeah.
Heidelberg. So then there were a lot of trials and errors, a lot of going back and forth with many different components until finally we managed to figure out, okay, this is the best sizes, and also includes shipping, because now that I'm also taking care of shipping, I want to make sure that your boxes fit as much as possible into a CBM, into a container, if you're filling up the whole
Hmm.
container. So much goes into that.
Which is definitely different than a lot of other manufacturers because they don't care.
Yeah, because they work according to your order. You order this, I'll
Yeah.
give you this. And for us, it's no. We really want you to have the best product possible, the best product that you can make.
Hmm.
We're kind of taking part in the production. That's why we also care about marketing and labeling. If you go to the website as well, tools and services, you will
Hmm.
find there's so many different tools and services that we offer totally for free. And we're building up a few more. One of them is like a PDF talking about labeling and marking for your box, to make
Right.
sure that you will not have any issues with CE or any of that stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think it's even comparable. Like compare a standard working factory to Hero Time, just because we work on two levels, complete two level. I mean, Luda
Hmm.
Factory might be 10-15 cents cheaper. Ludafact
Per unit.
specifically, yeah, per game. Maybe, just because they customize everything. It's not even all the time that way.
Yeah.
But depending on the components,
Hmm.
because sometimes the standard materials, they raise the cost a little bit, just because we don't customize the exact size of the paper, right?
Right.
So we have some waste that comes up from it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, the two services, I don't think they're comparable.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I think this is fascinating. Like, do you have like so yeah, on your website, maybe it's on your website and I didn't look, so sorry about that. But you can tell me right now, are there games you can't make and are there games that you love making because it just fits the Hero Time dies and cutters and glue? Just it's like if it was a game with just cards, come to us because we can do that really, really well. Or we can't make games with miniatures because we don't mold. What is the best game to bring to Hero Time if you want like the best bang for buck?
I'd say up to 7 components. I mean, yeah, up to. I don't want to deal with too many components.
Right.
Okay, just because the game becomes too complicated, and I don't want to charge an arm and a leg just for managing the whole project. So
Right.
up to 7 components is where I feel like you can have like a player board, you can have like a pack of token sheets, which like 4 sheets of tokens.
Yeah.
You can have like 128 cards. You can put like 7 components in total in your game. I think Hero Time in that regard will be ideal for you. Um,
Right. And even at a small MOQ, yeah, your
yeah,
minimum order can be like 500 and you'll still probably come out ahead.
exactly. So Hero Time for that will really be. I mean, card games, simple card games.
Hmm.
Like you have a flip box, a magnetic flip box. If you look
Hmm.
at Sabotage we made, beautiful game as well. I mean, that's where it's easy enough to make, and also the price can become extremely competitive. Small box,
Right.
um, just a few cards. So over there, the prices can become also very, very competitive as well. Um, I'll tell you which games I want to avoid. Games that have like, I'd say, I don't know, 300 cards, and you have mini cards, and you have standard cards, and then you have the big tower cards, and then you have player boards for this. Each person gets a player board, double layer to fit the tokens. Like think about Scythe, um,
Yeah.
or Everdell, or another one like Stonemaier games. Not my thing at all. Yeah, if your game is a Stonemaier game, go find. Uh, in my opinion, which factory will be the best for those type. I think Long Pack will be the
Yeah.
best value for money. But with them, you also really need to be careful with a few things, especially material. But they do an amazing job with these heavy games. I mean, Long Pack,
Yeah.
they're plastic factories. Their 3D injection, their injection mold machines are amazing. They do an amazing job. I mean, their prices
Right.
for that is also very competitive. Um, I'll tell you where I can do miniatures. So miniatures are also a whole universe and a whole.
Yeah.
If the lines are straight and I can use the simplest machine to make them, the simplest mold to make them, I will do. And the simplest mold costs like $1,900 to make.
Right.
And then each piece will be like, I don't know, 8-9 cents.
Mhm.
Those I would be willing to do, but any miniatures that goes beyond that, it's too much work, and it's too much work, and it's not my expertise.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah. So this is a really neat kind of um it's kind of a balance between, what Hero Time can do really well and what the game is. And it seems like for the right fit, Hero Time would be great and has all these answers and options and things for the
yeah,
right game.
if you check Chaos in the Museum, for example, this is a massive game in Germany. We've done a lot of Chaos in the Museum. Their components are fairly simple. If you look at a complicated game we made by Michael. Michael, it's called something about mermaids. Moonshell. It's called Moonshell.
Yeah. I remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah, you can even check that on Kickstarter. I mean, that's where we really, really shine. I mean, you can check that
Okay.
game. The quality's top-notch quality. Nobody has seen this quality before in the market by far. But Michael also wanted that quality. Michael was really, adamant that we have top quality for production. But yeah, that's where we really, really shine. Once your game becomes too difficult, I mean, find someone better, more suitable, someone that can really.
Different, yes.
Yeah.
Someone different, I think. And like I said, it sounds very much like a POD service that is that's able to scale, which is beautiful, really. For a lot of first-time creators who've maybe been used to the game crafter, this is a nice, easy step into scaling up, where your price per unit is going to decrease drastically instead of POD. Do you have like standard templates for things that you have to use those templates for your dies and whatnot? Is that a thing?
No, but you can do it. We have a template generator on the website. So if you go to
Mhm.
tools and services, you can generate your own template for your box, cards, but it's fairly standard. I mean,
Okay.
we don't. Yeah, dice simply send phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 files for each, or one file with all the dice,
Yeah.
the shape of a die.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, I meant die cutting. I meant cutting.
oh no. That's I mean only boxes. But
Right.
yeah, die cutting and the tokens, for example. Each game
Yeah.
that I tried before. So I made like a sheet, like a 20 centimeters on 14 centimeters,
Yeah.
circles, right?
Yeah. I was wondering if you did that.
And then it's like somebody says, "Oh no, but I want 20 circles and I want 30 and I want 10 squares. What are we gonna do?" So
Right.
it's better for me to
Just make a new
simply
die.
make a new die for him instead of saying,
Yeah.
okay, instead of 2 sheets, you know what, let's make a new die for you. So we tried that before for tokens. There are too many variations over there per game, so every game gets
Yeah.
their own die cut.
Yeah, I think there's a logistical reason from a game design perspective why you want tokens in different shapes and
Yeah.
sizes and things like that, just for your heuristics of gameplay. So that's really cool to know all these things that Hero Time is capable of. So I know that Amy is listening, and Amy is a game designer and publisher of very much just cards, like a box of cards. Would Hero Time do boxes of cards where it's like all the same size cards? It's not multiple different sizes. It's just like all poker size cards in a box. Would that be something that it might be 300 cards? Would that be something Hero Time's able to do?
Yeah, we work by sheet. So even in the system, we
Mhm.
work by 65. I mean, depending on the quantity, yes. So if you
Right.
have 2,000 sets, we will use our standard size sheet for cards and printing. Again,
Right.
Heidelberg machine for that sheet. Everything is maximized to its base. So you have like 65 cards per sheet, and then another sheet of 33 cards. So you just need to make sure, whatever you do, you need to make sure that your card count fits within those sheets. So Like you have 195 cards. Don't have 196 because at one
Yeah.
card will cost you a whole new sheet. Uh,
Yeah, of material.
so you just need to make sure that you within those standards. Um, and again, I think she even asked about purple.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She asked about.
Purple, Amy, purple is such a difficult color. Make sure in the videos you watch about the color percentages using simple colors. So try to use as simple a purple as possible. Um, and card backs, if you have a very large area of print on the card, that where the color difference really shows because you have something.
Right.
I mean, if it's small little icons, you don't really put two icons together and check the color difference. But
Yeah,
if
but if you have two cards in your hand, you'll be able to see the difference, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
with printing that doesn't work well for some colors, again, those can definitely happen. Um, it's ordered. Ooh, let's hope it's all good. Yeah. Um,
Ah,
yeah. Who did she
well,
order from? Because if
I,
she ordered from a good company, I mean,
she should do okay.
she shouldn't be afraid too much.
Yeah, she might have already had proofs. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think Amy's like looking at Hero Time saying, "Oh, Hero Time sounds cool," especially with all the shipping things. Because like I said, that's where like a sole creator, Amy's a sole creator. That's where I think your services are really special and really different. And so I'm really glad to have talked to you because I've been hearing about Hero Time in the forums and really wanted to find out what are you doing that's different. Why should people go here instead of to say one of the more established publishers like Longpack or Gameland or no, sorry, manufacturers or any of them, Bangui, whoever. There's all sorts of them that have pretty good reputations within the publishing end of things, but um, I wanted to know what the differentiator was for Hero Time, because we often get asked, who should I manufacture with? And oftentimes it's more a question of, well, who can you afford, or who do you need this answer right away? And it sounds like you have all of that answered, but for a very specific type of game. And so it was really neat to hear that. Okay, if it's going more complex and maybe 7 or 8 components, that's maybe not a Hero Time game, because then neither Hero Time nor the publisher is going to get the best thing out of it.
Right.
And I like how it's almost like a relationship. I think that's really important to kind of point out here that this is kind of almost by creators for creators, very very much like what JT does at Game Crafter, but scalable to larger quantities. And I think that's very important to know. I know that a lot of the other places, I work a lot with Panda, good friends with them, and they just do things quite differently because they are aiming at a different type of game in the
Right.
end. And so um, I think Hero Time fills this really cool niche. And so I'm really super glad that we got to talk, Hirsch. I think it was so valuable. I had other questions for you, but
Awesome.
I'll have you back on some other time because you just kind of blew my mind, and it's like, oh, okay, we got to ask about that because that's really important. So yeah, Amy's saying it's so interesting because she appreciated hearing all this information, and she ordered through Longpack. So like you said, Longpack has a good reputation and should
Yeah,
do
long
well by
pack is
her.
pretty good. Yeah, I
Yeah.
wouldn't worry too much. If depending on where she's shipping, just I would worry now in Europe. And you're 14 and up, right? Your game is 14 and up. If that's the case, if Amy's game is 14 and up, I don't think it will be an issue. Yeah,
There you go. All right.
you shouldn't
Very
worry
cool.
too much.
You can sleep well. You can sleep easy, Amy.
Yeah,
All right, very cool, everybody. Let me just bring this up in stream for a second. Your face is gonna go off for a second. So next week on April 20th, we have Tim Eisner. We're gonna talk about sustainable publishing, and those are some questions I did want to ask you today, Hirsch, but we can come back some other time about environmental, eco-friendly publishing and manufacturing. Therefore, right? 27th, Light End Games are coming in from Korea to talk about tabletop game design in that country. May 4th, we have a host panel. I have no idea what we're going to talk about. We'll probably poll the forums and find out what you want us to address. On May 11th, we have Laura Hoffman from Game On at a special time because she's calling in from France. And she will be telling us about Game On, which is kind of a Kickstarter alternative. And there's going to be a couple new things coming up from Game Found, Game On. What can we do differently than what Kickstarter is already offering us now that the open beta is a thing for Game Found, and Game On is a thing that you might want to learn about as well as a small publisher. May 18th, we have Dougal Grimes, who is inventor relations at Spin Master, coming to tell us about what he does and what he's looking for and how he manages inventors of games in the more mass area. He used to work for Hasbro as well. And then on May 25th, I wanted to start the conversation about accessible PDFs for rules. It's very much a thing in role-playing games, but not so much a thing in board games, and I wondered why. I have somebody who's soft agreed to come that day, but we may need to change that, so that's why it's TBD, okay? So everybody out there, thank you very much for coming. Thank you, Hirsch, for coming and answering all my incessant questions. I really appreciate you spending the time with us. I definitely want to have you back at some future time to talk more about what Hero Time has to offer, because it sounds like Hero Time is growing like on a monthly, yearly basis. Like there's new things and
on a daily basis.
Yeah, cool stuff that you're able to offer to creators, and that's really who the Maple Syrup Show kind of caters to. Is like, designers and publishers. What do we get out of our relationships with other people? And once the world opens a little bit more, hopefully we'll see Hirsch at conventions in the States and in Europe. And that would be wonderful. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Amy, for coming on the show and watching it. Thanks to everybody, Mike Rostopoulos from Greece, who is watching. And we'll hopefully get some business for Hero Time from some of the designers and publishers who are watching tonight. And we'll watch this in the feeds. All right. Thank you so much, Hirsch, for coming. We'll see you soon. And